Welcome to Detoxifying Your Life Without Losing Your Mind. My name is Jennifer Takala, and I am the women's pastor at Christ Church in Irving. And this presentation is from the Thrive Women's Wellness Conference that we held at Christ Church on June 5th and 6th. Our video of this breakout session did not record correctly, and so you'll just be hearing me go through my presentation without actually seeing me, but you'll see the screen, and that's really all you need. So, excited you're here and hope that this is something that is helpful for you. I am about to hit you with a ton of information, and so just get ready. There will be a lot of information that I give you throughout this presentation. And at the end of the presentation, there will be a QR code that you can scan that will give you all of the resources that I talk about. So you don't have to worry. You can take notes, but you don't have to worry about writing everything down because there will be links to everything that you need with the QR code at the end of the presentation. I'm going to pray, and then we're going to get moving. God, we thank you for who you are, and we thank you that you have a good plan for us, and we thank you that you created the world perfectly. And I just pray that this presentation would be life-giving and not overwhelming. And I pray that every bit of information that is given will be just run through your filter, and that the people will hear what they need to hear, take away what they need to take away, and that the rest would fall by the wayside. So God, we just love you and we thank you. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Okay, so there are a few things here today that we are not here to do. First of all, we are not here to shame you. When we know better, we do better, right? And so really what you're going to hear me say a lot today is that this presentation is to help you make informed choices. And so that's what it's about. No shame, just knowing better and doing better. We are not here to overwhelm you. We're really here. I know that this has a tendency to be overwhelming, but really what we're here to do is to give you a starting place and just start small. One small step is all you need to do after you finish this presentation. Just decide what your next step is going to be. And we definitely are not here to make you panic, okay? God is in control of everything. And for me, I struggle with control. But that's not what this is. I mean, we when we get new information, for some of us, it may be overwhelming, and it may kind of turn on your control tendencies, but that's not really what this is about. God's in control. All we can do is attempt to live the healthiest life that we can possibly live and provide that for our families as well. So that's really what we're here to do today, is just to learn what we can do going forward. All right, so this is my family, and we just wanted to share a little bit about our story. We started detoxifying our home about 10 years ago when one of our kids was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, and we started realizing the importance that environmental factors play in our health. And so for us, this has been a 10-year plus process, and we still aren't fully toxin free, and we never will be. We will never be fully toxin free because we can't be fully toxin free, but we do our best to be as low toxin as possible in our home. And really, it's not about perfection because, like I said, you can't be perfect in this area. But again, we're going to do what we can do to make informed choices. All right. So here's the question. Why should you detoxify your life? There's a few reasons. The first is that honoring our bodies honors God. 1 Corinthians 6:19-20 says, "Do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have received from God? You are not your own. You were bought at a price. Therefore, honor God with your bodies." Also, loving others well honors God. And detoxifying our homes not only helps us to honor our own bodies and love ourselves better, but it also helps us to love our families better. John 13:34 says, "A new commandment I give you, that you love one another. Just as I have loved you, you are also to love one another." And finally, stewarding the earth honors God. Psalm Psalm 89:11 says, "The heavens are yours, and the earth also is yours, the world and all that is in it. You have founded them." Genesis 2:15 says, "The Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and keep it." So it's our responsibility to do what we can do to take care of the world that we're living in, and detoxifying our lives falls perfectly in line with what that means. Honoring ourselves by getting rid of the toxins that we're putting into our bodies, and honoring the earth by the less toxic load we have, the less toxic products we use, the better it is for the earth, right? And so thriving is really about loving ourselves so we can better love God and others, and detoxifying our lives falls right in line with that. Okay, so let's jump in to this question. Are all chemicals bad? All right. Here's where I'm at. We're really not going to get into the science of it all, because honestly, I should have failed high school chemistry. It wasn't a pretty situation. I think the teacher just passed me for the year with a 70 because he didn't want to see me back the next year. So I am not a scientist. I am not a chemistry expert, but you don't have to be a scientist to know that there are a lot of chemicals, mostly synthetic chemicals, that are really terrible for our bodies. And like this one in particular I'm thinking of is something that probably most of us are familiar with from our history classes, is Agent Orange that they used in Vietnam to kill all the vegetation in Vietnam. And really that today has been just repackaged as the chemical Roundup, which many of us use to kill weeds in our yard. Okay, so really bad things, really terrible chemicals are still being used in our homes and in our yards and in our all around us, honestly. And so that's a little bit about what we're going to talk about today. But are all chemicals bad? And the answer is, of course not. Okay, there are many chemicals that are great. Water is a chemical. Okay, it's 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen. It is literally a chemical compound. So all chemicals are not bad. What we're really talking about here is like synthetic chemicals. Okay, there are many natural chemicals, but we're talking about synthetic chemicals, and even at that, all synthetic chemicals are not bad, but there are a lot that are. And so even the ones that are good probably should still be used fairly sparingly, and only when needed, because it really all comes down to this one thing, and that is that we simply were not created for a toxic lifestyle. That wasn't how God created us. He created our bodies to thrive, supported by nature and in communion with Himself. And that goes back to that Genesis verse that we read. We were not created to be exposed to constant toxins. That's just not how He created us. And the truth of the matter is that we just can't completely overcome what we weren't created for. Our bodies cannot completely overcome the toxin exposure that we are constantly surrounded with. We were created for a perfect, beautiful place. But then, of course, sin entered the picture. God made our human bodies perfectly, and He created us to be able to adapt to our environment and evolve. But alas, this world is not our home. It's fallen, and our bodies can only do so much, right? So let's talk about prolonged chemical exposure. Prolonged chemical exposure just puts us at a greater risk for health issues. Our bodies are able to overcome short-term chemical exposure, but being exposed to chemicals just on a long-term basis over and over and over can put us at risk. One of the biggest things that we as women, well, it's really men too, but this is a this is a women's conference. One of the things that we are really exposed to with long term, or one of the things that we can deal with long term chemical exposure is hormonal issues, okay? Hormone disruption. And like that doesn't really sound like that big of a deal, but there are some chemicals, particularly like synthetic fragrances and phthalates that mimic hormones. And this can potentially cause reproductive issues, metabolic issues, obesity, early puberty, certain cancers. Like, there's a lot of things that these chemicals can put us at risk for. So it's important that we try to reduce that load as much as we can. We talked about cancer. I just mentioned it in that list. And then also heart disease is another thing. Neurological issues, organ damage, and allergies. Okay, so there's a lot of things here that can affect us with prolonged chemical exposure. And again, this is not to scare you, and this is just to help you be aware that these are things that we're exposed to, and they can cause more damage than we realize. And so, yeah, we just know better, do better, right? That's what we talked about. Not to overwhelm you, not to scare you, just to inform you. Okay, so what are some of the ways that our bodies are exposed to toxic chemicals? Inhaling is one way, ingesting is another way, and touching is a third way. And in this picture here that you see, there are actually several toxins. And in our live presentation, people pointed those out. So I'm just going to point those out to you really quickly. We see fragrances here from the candle. We see plastics through the cutting board, and probably pesticides on the potatoes. And also receipt paper. Receipt paper, we're going to talk about that in a minute. Lots of toxins there. And I don't know if any of you shop at Costco, but I know a lot of times when I go to Costco and I'm walking through the door and I have to show them my receipt, oftentimes I will see the workers there wearing gloves, and that's to protect their hands from what is in the receipt paper. Okay, so we are going to talk about, just briefly run through the top 12 chemicals to avoid. The first one is PFAS, and these are what are known as forever chemicals. You may have heard of that term, forever chemicals, and they're forever chemicals because they do not break down in the environment. They literally last forever, even in your body, and soil, water, air, body for many, many years to come. They hang around. All right. The main place we find PFAS are in nonstick cookware. I'm just going to talk about the ones that you're more likely to run across: nonstick cookware, fast food wrappers and pizza boxes, contaminated drinking water, and dental floss and cosmetics. PFAS have been found in the blood of 97% of Americans. All right. Of course, this was a test group of people, but 97% of those people had PFAS in their blood. And so the main two ways that we can avoid PFAS are to make sure you filter your drinking water, and that's with a system rated for PFAS removal. This is not just like a Brita water pitcher, okay? But we'll talk a little bit more about water filtering later. Avoiding nonstick cookware. I know most of you probably use nonstick cookware, and there are healthier options, but nonstick cookware is not the best option. But we'll talk some more about that as well. Okay, the next chemical to avoid is bisphenols. BPA is probably the one you've most likely heard of, but there are a couple others as well. These are basically found in plastics, plastic containers like food storage and water bottles, and also that receipt paper that we talked about. Many you'll see a lot of things now that are marketed as BPA free. That's what we're looking for. But some of the areas we talked about, plastic containers, thermal receipt paper, but you're also going to see them in like aluminum can or tin can linings, like canned food, things like that. So um, what these also disrupt hormones, mimic estrogen. They can cause some of those problems that we talked about earlier. And the best way to avoid BPAs is to use um, glass or stainless steel drink containers, to look for cans that are marketed as BPA or BPS free, cans and bottles, and anything plastic or anything like that. Um, and here is a really, really big way to avoid it. And like really one of the number one things that you can do, so easy. Don't heat your food in plastic containers. Do not reheat in plastic. Do not cook in plastic in any way. Even I'm thinking about like steam, like the frozen veggies that you can steam in the bag. Don't do that. Just take them out, pop them in a pan, like a stainless steel pan, and let them steam. Um, so much healthier than cooking them in the plastic, because the plastic gets into the food and then into your system. It's not good. And then also want to talk about microplastics right now while we're talking about this. Microplastics are fragments of plastic that are less than 5 millimeters long when the plastic breaks down. 5 millimeters, though, that's still like a fairly decent size piece of plastic. Stanford University has done some research, and they estimate that adults ingest the equivalent of one credit card per week in microplastics. So from plastics being leached into the food that you're eating through reheating, to environmental plastics, to using a plastic cutting board and getting little pieces in there, up to one credit card worth of plastic a week. That is just mind blowing. Okay. So the more that we can avoid these BPAs, the better that is for us. All right. On to phthalates. Phthalates are used to make PVC flexible. It sounds like a lot of these things really wouldn't apply to us, but they are in everything. All right. They also carry fragrance. All right. And because they don't bond to the materials that they're in, they're leaching on into or onto whatever they come in contact with: air, food, skin. All right. Um, One of the main places you're going to find phthalates are in fragrance. Okay. So and that's mostly in personal care products, but also in candles and things like that, air fresheners. um you'll often find it may not say phthalates. If we want to look at the ingredients, or on anything that we're using, any kind of thing that's possibly chemical, we want to look at the ingredients. And you're going to see the word fragrance, or you might see the word parfum. Okay, that means it has synthetic fragrance in it, and we want to avoid that as much as possible. um you're going to find it in fragrance, you're going to find it in food packaging, you're going to find it in nail polish, and in candles and air fresheners, like I mentioned. And so the best way to avoid phthalates is to look at the packaging, like I just said. And if it says fragrance or parfum on it, don't buy it. That's hard. And here, remember, this is about making informed choices, right? So we're not saying you can't wear perfume. I mean, I'm not telling you what to do about any of it. I'm just giving you some information, and then you get to decide. A really good rule is like the 80-20 rule, you may have heard of. That means if you can do 80% of your life in a healthy way, meaning whether that's food, whether that's cosmetics, whether that's fragrance, whatever it is, if 80% of your life you're living as like healthy, low toxin as possible, then there's the 20% that is a little bit of wiggle room. Okay. So if like perfume is really, really important to you, then just do some other swaps. Okay. Like use a soap that doesn't have fragrance in it if it's really important to you to wear your perfume fragrance. Or if it's really important to you to have your Bath and Body Works candle, then try to reduce the fragrances in the other areas of your life. Don't buy a shampoo that has fragrance in it. Okay, so there's some swaps you can make there if the fragrances are really important to you. Okay, so moving on to parabens. These are synthetic preservatives found in personal care products. All right, again, look at the ingredients. We always want to look at the ingredients. Avoid the word anything with that ends in paraben. Look for fragrance-free products and also look for EWG verified products. We'll talk about that in a bit. EWG is the Environmental Working Group. I'll give you a tool to help you find the products that are EWG verified. Okay, so now we're going to talk about, um, oh, you know what? Oh, no, already did that right there. Okay, so we're going to talk about VOCs, volatile organic compounds. These are basically, they're carbon-based chemicals that evaporate and enter the air. And so basically anything with a smell, it's a VOC. All right. I should say any chemical with a smell is a VOC. So we're not talking about like, flowers or, herbs or anything like that. We're talking about, or essential oils. We're not talking about that. We're talking about, again, about synthetic things. Some of the common VOCs are, formaldehyde, benzene, these things listed here. Okay. And so it's a lot of times when there's like a strong smell in the air, there are VOCs in the air. You find them in cleaning products, air fresheners, paint, and again, those personal care products that include fragrance. All right. And again, health effects are so similar with all of these different chemicals. It's kind of like just second verse, same as the first, you know. They all can have a little bit of wiggle room there for different things, but overall, you've got hormonal stuff, you've got cancer, you've got, things like that. So we're just going to avoid what we can. Again, this is the world we're living in, but we can do the best that we can do and leave the rest to God, right? So the best ways that you can avoid these VOCs is by using non-toxic cleaning products. If you're painting the inside of your house, ventilate, open the windows. And speaking of that, purifying your air using an air purifier or literally just opening your windows for like 15 minutes a day. That's a huge way to get to purify your air and a free way to purify your air. And then not using air fresheners or synthetically fragranced candles or plug-ins. If I could just ask you to do, I already asked you to please not heat your food in plastic. Here's the second thing I want to ask you to do. These are two really, really big things, and this one is maybe one of the biggest things. If you have Glade plugins or Bath and Body Works wallflowers or something like that plugged into your wall that is constantly producing a scent, please go around your house and unplug those things. They are terrible for you. You are inhaling that synthetic fragrance 24 hours a day, every day. If that smell is important to you, get you that Bath and Body Works candle, or better, get a better brand that I'll be telling you about in a little bit. But if that's a great swap when we were talking about the 80/20. Get rid of the wallflowers or the Glade plugins and burn a candle 1 hour a day. Okay, 24 hours a day versus 1 hour a day, like just a much, much better trade-off. So please, 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 get rid of those Glade plugins. That is not good for you or your family. And the thing is, it's not good for anybody, but it's definitely not good for people that have specific health issues. All right, the next one is formaldehyde. I think probably, I don't know about you, but for me, when I think of formaldehyde, I think of dissecting animals in a science class because that's what they were stored in. But formaldehyde is in a lot of things. You can see the list right there. Some of the things that we are often exposed to that have formaldehyde is nail polish, cleaning products, tobacco smoke, and wrinkle-free clothing, believe it or not. So, one of the, well, really just like we talked about, like just avoid the things that have formaldehyde in them. Educate yourself on what has it and try to avoid them. Right here says how to avoid it, says what it the health effects that it causes. Let's just try to avoid it where we can, ladies, right? Okay. Flame retardants. Oh my, that's fancy. I don't even know how that happened, but happy 4th of July. Flame retardants are another thing that chemicals that cause issues. All right. Take a look at that. I'm not going to comment much on it. There we go. Health effects, how to avoid it. Feel free to pause. All right, triclosan. Again, this is something that used to be used a ton in toothpaste, not used a whole lot. It was also in antibacterial soaps and hand sanitizers. It's been banned. It's been banned from hand soaps, but it still persists in some products. So take a look at that. Take a look at that. Feel free to pause and read if you'd like to. We're going to keep moving. All right, SLS and SLES, sodium lauryl sulfate. All right, this is a surfactant, which means it's a foaming agent that's used in a lot of personal care products. And these really just are kind of hard on the skin. Some chemicals are more detrimental than others, but if it's going to affect us in a negative way, let's avoid it where we can. All right. Okay, and this one's again not still super concerning, but it could, for people with sensitive skin or like things like eczema or things like that, it could definitely bother that. So if that's you, try to avoid it. All right, 1,4-dioxane. It's not intentionally added to products, but it's like a byproduct. And so anything that ends with eth, sodium laureth, sulfate, things like that, just try to avoid that. It's in, again, a lot of personal care and cleaning products. So there you go. Feel free to take a look at that. All right, lead. We know we've heard about lead paint for a long time, right? And there's, lead is a heavy metal. It's not a great thing for us to be exposed to. So a lot of that is kind of in older things. Some antiques and pottery and ceramics, things like that. Some cosmetics, definitely in paint and older homes. So this is one you're probably a little more familiar with. Feel free to pause and look at that if you need to. All right, PVC. This is plastic stuff again. All right. It uses phthalates and it has heavy metals in it as well. It's in flooring, shower curtains, plastic wrap, toys. I mean, there's all kinds of places where PVC is. And again, how we avoid it is just by being aware of what PVC is in. This is one thing I didn't know. Look for recycling code number 3. Anytime you see a plastic bottle or anything that's recycled, it'll have a number. If it has number 3, it has PVC in it. So that's one tip for avoiding PVC. Okay, so here's the deal. We cannot control what we're exposed to outside of our homes. So it matters that we do what we can, where we can, to reduce our toxic load. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about. I know probably a lot of you are thinking, well, I'm not really exposed to that many toxic chemicals. I'm not, this isn't something for me that is a big deal. And hopefully you're right. Hopefully you're not exposed to that many chemicals. And hopefully this isn't a big deal for you or your family. But let's just take a look at how these things can stack up without us even realizing what's happening. So let's take a look at a morning routine. Okay, so in a typical morning, you might wake up and shower and use shampoo that has parabens and SLS. And then you put lotion on to lock in that moisture. And maybe it has phthalates due to the fragrance. Then you brush your teeth and there's SLS in the toothpaste. Then you drink water that's not filtered well and it has PFAS in it, getting those forever chemicals, the plastics and stuff into your body. Then you heat food in a plastic container and that has BPS in it. That gets into your bloodstream. And then, so we're just now eating breakfast, right? Then you drive to work and you smell exhaust from other cars. That's some VOCs, okay? Or maybe you have a newer car and you're smelling that amazing new car smell, like also VOCs. And then you go into your office and you sit down at your desk made of pressed wood that contains formaldehyde. It's 8:30 in the morning and you've just been exposed to all those chemicals. Okay? Again, not to scare you, just to help us be aware, right? And honestly, probably all of those things are not happening to you. You're probably not doing all of those things in one morning, but this is just an example of how things can really stack up. So, each individual exposure may not be harmful on its own, but layer upon layer they add up, especially for people whose systems struggle with detoxification. This is why it matters, y'all. A lot of people have problems with detoxification and they don't even know it. They estimate that well over 50% of the population has what they call an MTHFR genetic mutation. And that is the people with those mutations have a hard time getting toxins out of their system. Also, people who don't have a super healthy liver, your liver is your main detox organ for your body. And so, if your liver isn't super healthy, there's like a high percentage of the population that has non alcoholic fatty liver disease that don't know it. And so, if your system has trouble detoxing, like God created our systems and our systems have adapted to detoxify the things that we shouldn't be exposed to. But if your system isn't in tip top shape, it has a hard time detoxifying. So, the less toxins we can put into our system, the less toxins our system has to get rid of, right? There is so much that we are not able to control in our environment. So it's just important for us to try to control what we can control. Okay. So let's get practical here. What can we do to make changes? We've already talked about we can't eliminate everything, and that's not what it's about. It's not about eliminating everything, but it is about examining everything and then making those informed choices that we've talked about. Okay, so let's talk about our household products and routine at home. Okay, so this is where I'm going to make some recommendations, and I'm also going to have a lot of links in that QR code that you're going to see at the end. But let's start with water. I told you a few minutes ago about filtering your water. And most of our refrigerators come with a filter. That's great. Like it's great. But there are so many more chemicals that are in our water that those will not filter out. And so it's really important when like the top two things they say are your air and your water. If you address those two things, just those two things, you're getting rid of a ton of toxins that you're exposed to daily just by taking care of your water and your air. Again, I also talked to you about the not microwaving in plastic and ditching your Glade plugins, and I highly recommend those two things. But other than those two things that are both free, these are your top two things that are going to make the biggest impact. So water, get a good quality water filter. You can buy a whole house filter, an under sink filter, a dispenser, or just a water pitcher. And these are going to come at all different price levels. You can also do just a shower head filter. If you don't want to do a whole house filter, but you want to filter the water coming out of your shower, you can just buy a little shower head that has the filter in it. The whole house filters are a lot more expensive. I mean, $1,500 maybe. An under sink filter is going to be maybe around $500. A water dispenser is going to be maybe around in the $200 to $300 range. But you can get a really good quality water filter pitcher for $25. That's the Water Drop Chubby pitcher. It's not huge. You're going to have to refill it several times throughout the day, but it's an inexpensive way to filter the water that you're drinking. And that is going to be linked in the resources at the end. Also, another thing that you can do is replace disposable plastic water bottles with either glass or stainless steel. I know a lot of us have Stanley cups or, whatever other brands there are that are like that. Owala, Contigo, those different brands. So stainless steel cups are really good, or glass. I've had glass bottles in the past. They just break. They're like, even with the silicone things around them, they still tend to break. So I prefer stainless. All right, and then air. Open your windows daily for 15 minutes. I know that's really hard in Texas, especially when it's super hot outside, but just opening your windows daily for 15 minutes does huge things to improve the air in your house. There's way more chemicals, believe it or not, there's way more chemicals in your home than outside, even with the smog and the air pollution outside. It's still better to breathe the outside air than the inside air. So open those windows. Dust and vacuum weekly. If you have a vacuum with a HEPA filter, even better. You can get air filters for your home, like HEPA air filters you can put in your air conditioning units, like when you have to change the filters. Or you can get like an air doctor air filter or something else similar to that. These are little machines that set around your house that have filters. They filter the air. Also, that's kind of pricey, so I would recommend opening the windows and replacing your AC filters with HEPA filters. You can get those like at Lowe's or wherever, or on Amazon. Also, adding houseplants to your house. Houseplants filter your air, so that's a highly recommended thing to do. Not expensive, and they're pretty, so definitely do that. And then cleaning products. Um, I'm just going to leave that, just let you take a look at that right there. We talked about cleaning products have all kinds of chemicals in them. So these are some good brands. Surface cleaner, which, just like countertop. There's a few good brands here. Truly Free. Thieves is from Young Living. If you do Young Living essential oils, that's my all-time favorite countertop cleaner. Truly Free is good, and it's a and good price. Also, you have to order that online. There's also DIY. You can use vinegar. You can use, like, there's all kinds of things you can use, and there's some DIY recipes also in the link that you're going to get at the end. A dishwasher soap. We love the Truly Free dishwasher soap. It's our favorite. Blue Land is another really great option. Dish soap, Molly Suds, Dr. Bronner's. We actually use Truly Free. I've started recently using Truly Free dish soap and love it. Laundry detergent. We have used Molly Suds and Blue Land, and we really like both of those. Candles and air freshener. We've already talked about this. I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but I do want to give you a couple of options for brands. Terralite is a great candle brand. Fontana is a great candle brand. And Mim Davis, who is one of our ladies at Christchurch, she also has a candle company where she uses all natural scents. So essential oils in particular is what she uses. Or you can get a diffuser for like $10 to $15 on Amazon and diffuse pure essential oils, which you can also buy pure essential oils on Amazon. You want to make sure they're pure. Organic essential oils is probably the best way to go to be for sure that they're pure. But you do not have to buy the expensive companies' essential oils. You can get good quality ones for less money. All right, food storage. Do not store in plastic. Swap from plastic to glass, and do not heat food in plastic, which we have already talked about. Whew, sorry about that little dog bark and doorbell. Someone just came to our house. Oh, the joys of working from home, right? Okay, so we talked about candles, air freshener. We talked about food storage. Okay, cookware. Cast iron skillet is your best friend. All right. So if you don't have a cast iron skillet, get a cast iron skillet. They are not that expensive. You can get a good quality one for not a whole lot of money. Stainless steel pans are another really best option. Cast iron and stainless steel are your two best options for cookware. There are less toxic nonstick pans if like nonstick pans are really important to you. You can definitely get nonstick pans that are better than most. A couple of those brands are Green Pan and Our Place. So again, they're not perfect, but they're better than just your run of the mill nonstick pans. Green Pan, I believe you can get like at Home Goods or TJ Maxx. I think my mom got hers there. And then Our Place is an online thing, but I have an Our Place pan and I really liked it. Another way you can reduce toxins in your home is just to remove your shoes when you walk in. I know there's a lot of cultures that they do not wear shoes in the house, and this definitely helps to reduce the toxins that are being brought in from other locations. Okay, so on to personal products. Again, we'll have a QR code with recommendations for all of those different household products that we just talked about. Okay, so personal products, skincare. These are just brands basically here that I'm sharing with you. Dime Beauty, that's the brand that I use for my skincare, my face wash, moisturizer, all of that. I use Dime Beauty and I really like it. Castor oil is a good option, and just do look into castor oil. It can be used for many, many, many things. It's good. It's moisturizing. It's good for helping like regrow like hair, like eyebrows and things like that. It's good. I use it as like a liver detox. You can put it on a pack over your liver and let that sit. So look into castor oil. Witch hazel is kind of like a toner that you can use. Thayer's brand. I use the unscented witch hazel. And then Mad Hippie is another good skincare brand that my daughters have used as well. Makeup, few brands here. Crunchy, good brand. Counter, formerly Beauty Counter. And I'm gonna just be really honest with you. Makeup is a little more expensive. I mean, a lot of these things are not more expensive. A lot of these swaps are not at all more expensive. Makeup is a little bit more, in my opinion. It can't. Actually, that's not even true. There's some super expensive makeup out there that is full of chemicals, but like your grocery store kind of stuff, in general, this is going to be a little bit more expensive, but if it's worth it for you, then it's worth it. So you just have to decide. That's that informed decisions, right? And informed choices. And then Crunchy and Counter both have to be, and Thrive all have to be ordered online. And then Thrive Cosmetics, I have a few things from Thrive Cosmetics that I absolutely love. It is not the cleanest brand, but it is a good clean brand for some of their products. Okay, soap, the Everyone hand soap. This is the brand. It's called Just look up Everyone hand soap, or it's linked for you in my stuff. You're gonna have the link to that. Really, really good hand soap. Absolutely love it. Ruby grapefruit is my favorite scent. Also, they have a shampoo it's called the 3-in-1 soap. It is shampoo, body wash, and bubble bath all together in one. So really, really great for your kids, husbands. I use it for my body wash. I don't use it in my hair, but I do use it as my body wash. And then Avalon Organics is actually the shampoo that I use. And I really, really like that. So I highly recommend that one. And then if you wear perfume and perfume is really expensive, is really important for you, there are other brands. Dime Beauty has a good, less toxic perfume. And there are other brands as well, but Dime is the one that I have experience with. Okay. And then let's look at some other beauty slash personal care products as well. Deodorant. You're looking for aluminum free and unscented deodorants. Native is a good brand that is widely available in stores. I know Target carries it. Honestly, you can get it for cheaper if you order it from their website. You can do like a subscription, and they have deals on their website all the time. So Native brand is the deodorant that my family uses. Um, and we don't always do unscented on those. There is unscented. I do aluminum free, but I don't always do unscented there. So because I like some of their scents. And so that's an area where I choose to sometimes use the scents. Primally Pure is another good brand of deodorant, and there are other natural deodorants that are good as well. Deodorant is an area where a lot of people won't skimp because they don't want to stink, right? And so, but again, that's just your choice to make, right? Toothpaste. I've used Theodent for many years. That has been recommended by our holistic dentist, and I've really liked that. It's not as strong. Like sometimes the mint is super strong, and that one's not as strong, so it's a little more palatable. They also have a chocolate flavored one for kids, which is this has been a highly recommended toothpaste that we like. It's a little more expensive, so there's that. But I mean, I still don't have to buy it super often, so I feel okay about it. I recently started using David's brand myself. It has hydroxyapatite in it, which is supposed to be good for remineralizing your teeth. So that's one that I like. And then Attitude is another brand that has been recommended. I've not used it, but I've heard that it's good. Nail polish, Olive and June. There are other brands as well, but Olive and June has less chemicals in their nail polish. Sunscreen, Babo Botanicals and Badger are two highly recommended brands. I've got some Babo right now. Sunscreen is another one of those things we don't use a ton of sunscreen. We mostly only use it if we're going swimming or we're going to be out in the sun a ton. So the brand I actually mostly buy is Alba Botanica, and I use their unscented mineral sunscreen. It's not like the cleanest of the clean. It's not like the top, but it works for us. It's affordable, and because we're using it so sparingly, I don't worry a whole lot about it. But I don't use like scented, or like I wouldn't just go buy like Banana Boat or one of those like personally. I do try to find something that's a little bit better. And then, as far as clothing goes, look for natural fibers, 100% cotton, linen, wool, bamboo, things like that. Your polyester and that kind of stuff, not as great of a choice. Again, that's kind of getting deep, but just wanted to share that with you. I have personally, I wear my leggings. I love my polyester leggings, my spandex leggings, but I've recently been trying to add more pieces of clothing to my closet that are natural fibers because it's just better for you. So, all right. And then we're going to quickly talk about your medicine cabinet. This is an area where, there are a lot of natural options that work just as well as your synthetic options. But at the same time, I'm just going to tell you that I still am a big fan of Advil when it's needed, right? When I was preparing for this presentation, I had a horrible, horrible toothache, ended up having to do a root canal, but I was living on Advil for several days, and because it was the only thing that would totally get rid of the pain. So, um, so what I'm saying here is I'm not advocating for you to get rid of all your Advil and Tylenol and all that kind of stuff. But what I am advocating for is maybe that's not your go-to. Maybe you try some natural options before you pop that Advil, okay? And a lot of the reason for that is because we do know that that stuff can do damage. I mean, there's warnings on the packages. And also, the less often you use it, I personally think the better it's going to work for you when you do need it, right? So, anyway, this is just my 2 cents about getting your medicine cabinet a little bit cleaner. Okay, so let's look at these. Cold and flu, oscillococcinum or cold calm. Okay, most of these things can be bought like at Target or Walmart, definitely online on Amazon. You've probably heard of Oscillo before. At least a lot of people with kids, when you feel the first symptoms of flu, you take this and it helps a lot. Same with the cold calm. For headaches are a tough one, guys. Like, I mean, if it's a really bad headache, sometimes the main thing that's going to help with that is just Advil. But peppermint oil can also be helpful. So I'm not going to say a whole lot about headaches. Stomach aches, we've got some options here. Arsenicum album, nausea calm, allergies and sinuses. We've got some things there. UTI, I will tell you right now, I will swear by this UTI stuff. The Cantharis 30C and the D-mannose, D-mannose is a supplement. It's the sugar from cranberries is what it is that's been pulled out, and it's not, so D-mannose is excellent for urinary tract health. Cantharis, it helps when you feel the burning pain from a UTI. The Cantharis helps with that. So with fevers, belladonna can be a good option. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions about this stuff. Not all of this is homeopathy, but a lot of it is, and I'm happy to answer questions about homeopathy. It works really well for our family. Bruises, swelling, joint and muscle pain, arnica hair gel or cream, or arnica 30C. Burns, sunburns, calendula gel. We literally had this issue last week when we were on vacation in Colorado, and I ran to Sprouts and got some calendula gel, and it helped my daughter tremendously with the little, she got like kind of like a heat rash sunburn. We're not sure exactly what it was, but the calendula gave her relief. Motion sickness, motion calm is a great option. Just ask our little weenie dog, because when we travel, we give this to her. We give it to our girls also, especially if they're sitting in the far back of the car, and it helps them a ton. And then immune support, Easy CPAC and Wellness Formula. These are both just targeted supplements that are really good if you feel sickness coming on. All right, I want to talk to you really quickly about greenwashing. Greenwashing is basically when a brand tries to tell you that, they try to convince you that their products are healthy, clean, non-toxic, and it's really just a marketing scheme to get you to pay more for their product, or just to get you to buy their product at all, right? They'll make the packaging look natural. They'll maybe put plants on it, or they'll say made with plants, or they might use the word natural, or scented with essential oils, things like that. And just so you know, that doesn't mean, just because it might have a plant extract in it, or just because it might have an essential oil in it, doesn't mean that there's not also plenty of chemicals and synthetic fragrances. So if we just learn to really look at the labels, that is really one of the best things that we can do, is just really look at the labels. All right. So what I want you to do now is I want you to make a plan. All right. I want you to look at these 6 categories, the top 3 and the bottom 3. Top 3 are 3 different areas of different products that you're using. And I want you to look at each category: household, personal, and medicine. And I want you to decide, well, first of all, you can do one of 2 things. You can either decide the one product that you want to buy in that category, or a product in one of those categories that you want to buy that will be non-toxic, or what I really recommend is that when you next run out of an item, go through your house, see what you're getting low on, and then research what it is that you want to buy to replace that item. So if you're about to be out of your hand soap, maybe you use Bath and Body Works hand soap, or maybe you use Dial or whatever, soft soap or whatever. If you're about to run out of that, go to this QR code I'm about to get you, and look at the different options for the Everyone hand soap, and see the different scents and what you might like. And those scents are scented with essential oils. So just prepare for what is the next thing you're going to buy. Maybe you're about to be out of dishwasher soap, or maybe you're about to be out of detergent. Okay. And so you can pick one of those things that you're about to run out of, and figure out what it is that you're going to buy next when you run out. And then the second row is as action items. Okay. These are 3 free things that you can do in your home right now. You can open your windows and let them air out. You can get on a schedule of dusting and vacuuming once a week. Listen, probably most of you are already doing that. Confession, I do not dust and vacuum once a week. We actually are having our girls vacuum their rooms every Friday when they do their little deep clean. But I am terrible about dusting. And what I learned researching for this presentation, I didn't even know this. All of the toxins that are in the air, they settle into the dust. And so when you have dust sitting around, you're just rebreathing in those toxins. So I've got to get better about dusting. Throwing out your plugins. We've already talked about that, but that is an easy thing that you can do. Okay. So we're going to talk about this real quick. As you are figuring out what it is that you need next, as you're making a budget, as you're making a grocery list, whatever, these are some tools that you can use for helping you figure out what are good things to buy and what are not good things to buy. The EWG app, that's the Environmental Working Group app. It's called Healthy Living. Again, this is linked. You're going to get the link for this in just a minute. This is a really, really great way for you to scan items either in the grocery store, or just walk around your home and scan the barcodes and see how healthy are the things that you're using. It'll have a little green seal. If it's very top, that means it's EWG certified. that'll say like yes, absolutely recommended. Then you'll get like then the next will be like a 1, which is like really really good but not perfect, and then 2, and it goes all the way to like 9 or 10, and it's like goes to like green to yellow to orange or red, something like that. So if it's green or if it has that little seal, you know that like that's a really good option. You can also go to their website. They have the environmental working group has they have Skin Deep, and they also have their guide to healthy cleaning. And this helps you. The Skin Deep website is much more robust than the healthy cleaning. Um, because that's an older product. The healthy cleaning part of their website's newer, but these are really good tools for you to be able to see what's in your products that you're using and to give you recommendations for better options. All right. And then if you want to educate yourself more on toxicity and non toxic or low toxin living, these are two great websites. The Non Toxic Lab, a lot of the information that I gave you today came from Non Toxic Lab. And then Toxic Free Choice is another great website that can give you lots of recommendations, DIYs, things like that for low tox living. Okay, here is that QR code that I have been telling you about. If you will scan this code, this is going to take you to my Pinterest board for this presentation. And on that board, you are going to see all kinds of different things. You're going to see, well, you know what? Let me just actually show you that. Okay, so this is the Pinterest board that I have for you, and because I'm logged in, yours might look slightly different because I can um, do some things to manage the board here. But in general, this is what it's going to look like. It's called Detoxifying Your Life Without Losing Your Mind, and we have several different sections here. This is my presentation, which is just if you just want to click through the actual like PowerPoint presentation that I did, that's on here. Um, so that's right here. And then we also have, these are some things, if you were there in person at my presentation, these are some samples that I gave away to everyone. Hand soap, laundry detergent, and dryer sheet that are better quality that I recommend. And then this right here is a link to products that I love. So you can click visit site and it'll take you to it will take you to another place that has all of the different products that I recommend. And then let's see, non-toxic DIYs, and I'll be adding to this board over time. So if you want to follow it, I'll be adding to it. Non-toxic DIYs, recipes for making certain cleaners and things like that. This is research and education. I've linked to the Toxic Free Choice and the Non Toxic Lab. There's also articles here on Environmental Working Group, just some ways to educate yourself there. Here's what I was telling you about. This is how you get to that the app right here, this Healthy Living app with the Environmental Working Group. These different websites that I just talked to you about. All of these things are all here. This right here, this is a like a checklist, a goal setting checklist where you can go through and kind of see how toxic your home is. So if that's something that's interesting to you, you can do that. And then just some different tips and tricks for non-toxic, low toxic living. So anyway, that is what you will find on this, oh, not that, on this Pinterest board. All right. All of the links are there that you need. Okay, so one more time, here is that QR code for you with all the resources. This will link you to that Pinterest board, which will then in turn get you all the different links that you need, all the things that I've talked about today. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me. My email address is jennifer@ccirving.com. Be happy to chat with you, give you recommendations, share more about what we love in our home, although I've pretty much given you all of that. But Anyway, feel free to reach out. Hope that this presentation has been helpful to you. And remember, this is not to shame you or to overwhelm you. This is to give you information, because when we know better, we can do better, and we can make informed choices about what is best for us and our families, and what best honors God, and what best honors and loves ourselves and our families and the people around us, right? So, anyway, thank you for listening, and may God be with you and your journey of detoxification.